Welcome to the Coffee and Technology Podcast. This is Future Editing Kelsey. I figured I would hop in today to give you a little bit of context to this episode. So, two of my colleagues, Leo Cimoch for Product Management and Cassidy Nova from Inside Sales, will be talking with us today about how to build a product. Both Leo and Cassidy have been working on our product, Commerce, which was released earlier this month. So if you've ever wondered about the decision-making process of when and which features to add, what does it mean to send a product through beta, and how we as a team work together internationally, this is the behind the scenes episode for you. So let's go ahead and pass this over to Norbert.
Well, welcome everybody. We are back to another episode of our epic Cropster podcast. And I'm here with Kelsey, and we have two wonderful guests. And it's Leo and Cassidy joining us today from our software slash sales team of Cropster, based in different locations. But before I talk too much, let's hear it. Leo and Cassidy, how are you doing? Who wants to go first and introduce themselves a little bit?
So I'll probably go first. So my name is Leo. I'm the Senior Product Manager here at Cropster. The product we're going to be talking about and the product I'm responsible is the commerce product, formerly known as eCommerce. We've been taking quite a few months to revamp the whole product, and that's kind of was my task to bring it all together and release this awesome product to the masses. I formerly come from hospitality industry and few startups companies, so I have a very good mix of skills, I suppose. With the hospitality, the soft skills are very helpful in stakeholder management and customer management, and talking to our customers and getting all the feedback. But also understanding the ins and outs of how development world works and how to translate the customer needs into development. It's very, very important to get the final product out of the door and make sure it's the right product built at the right time.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Very cool. We will dig into that a little bit more after we hear Cassidy's story.
Yeah. I'm on the inside sales team here at Cropster, and I've been assisting Leo with the beta testing of Commerce, demonstrating the product, gathering feedback, and training customers every step of the way. I started my coffee journey in Colombia, actually, with my family, learning about farms and coffee as a business. From there, I came back to Florida, worked as a production roaster at Buddy Brew Coffee, quickly became the e-commerce manager / internet guy, with the goal to automate and streamline our processes. So I spent about 8 years doing that, and I joined the Cropster team this year to share this information and introduce the people to commerce.
We usually do like a fast forward, but in this case, I want to do a fast backward, Cassidy. Well, 8 years, 9 years ago, almost 10 years ago, you became the internet guy. What was the world look? What did the world look like back then, and why was it you?
Yeah, there were less e-commerce solutions back then, and there was less to choose from, so we had less options. Why it was me, I still ask myself that. I came in and got a job to be a bagger. I thought of it more as an internship that I learn a little. The production roaster left, so I got thrown right into it. I had to learn to roast and got to learn all these amazing processes. And I just had a company that was basically like, do whatever you want to do. So I kind of just grew and found things that what can we do better? How can we make this faster? How can we make less mistakes? And I just kind of grew into this passion. And I've always loved coffee, and it was a beautiful thing to tie those two things together.
Specialty coffee is the world of opportunity, if I hear your words correctly.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what were some of the problems that you first encountered, Cassidy, when you were the internet guy trying to solve for some of those e-commerce problems?
Yeah, I would say we've all been there. It's the dreaded spreadsheet of, we have this massive document just living offline, basically, of all of our operations. Had historical data, bag data, production data, roast profile data. It was just too much. And every morning you had to be careful. If you deleted the wrong cell, if you did something wrong, it was a nightmare to recreate. So just wanted to try to find ways to do that better. And been using Cropster the entire time side by side. So it actually is a perfect match for Cropster to take this massive challenge on.
Speaking of which, Leo, that task is yours. So when you first started your role at Cropster, how did you first start tackling e-commerce into now commerce?
Yeah, it was quite an interesting one because, like I mentioned before, I've come from outside of coffee industry. However, the principles of product management are fairly the same, whether you work in a different company or any tech company. You can apply the same principles when it comes to product management. But my first task was to kind of have a look at what's going on, wrap my head around it, and understand the actual problems that we're trying to solve from customers. We had a lot of feedback from customers as well, and we decided to try to digest it and see where we can make the most impact for our customers, where can we save time for them, and how can we improve their workflow. Because like Cassidy mentioned, the dreaded spreadsheet is often uh, quite messy or quite protected item in the company. If you mess something up with one cell or some formula, things could go very, very wrong very quickly. So that's why, again, we try to figure out how to make it useful, but also simple enough that anybody can use it, and all the calculations and all the planning is done kind of for you without having to involve yourself too much with the numbers. You can just go on and roast your coffee.
And I think that's that to me is the magic. How do you cut through to the essentials when you talk to so many people in the industry and you look at all those spreadsheets? What is, how do you find the truth in all that data?
So yeah, you can often find yourself very much lost in the amount of information and the amount of requests, because everybody has a different opinion. Everybody has their requests and their wishes, and I wish we could make them all happen. However, we only have certain resources to distribute and then work with. So we really have to dial down into what's really important, and to do that, we use different techniques such as RISE, which is measuring the reach, the impact, the confidence level, and effort around certain feature. And once we have that kind of idea or score even of what kind of product or feature we're going to be able to release at the end of the day, and what kind of problem we're solving at the end of the day, we then have a list of, we call it the backlog, a list of items that we want to potentially implement. We then have to figure out when is the right time to implement it, and obviously also measure or check what we have in terms of resources and time. Because again, we can be working on a super amazing feature for a whole year, but the customers cannot have it in their hands for a whole year. It's kind of useless. So often we call them also the low-hanging fruits, where we look working on little tweaks, little changes, where you can improve the quality of life of your daily processes, and we can deliver it quite quickly. We work on 2 weeks sprints, so every 2 weeks we have a release. So again, if there's a small change, we can quickly develop it, test it, release it, and you have it in your hands straight away. So again, there needs to be a balance between the big features and also maintaining the product and making sure it works very smoothly for you.
I would like to come in with the question of the broken hearts, because that's what you just said. is it happens in the brain. That's a very meticulous and a very strategic process, and I love it. Of course, from my technical side, is full with you. But there's the broken hearts out there, the people you cannot serve, the people who expect something from you, the people you talk to. And this is a question to both of you, Leo and Cassidy, because you talk to them every day. It's our customers, it's our friends. There's so many wonderful and lovely people in the industry. And I have talked to them. That's why I asked this question. And at some point, you have to maybe disappoint them that either something comes later or something is not going to happen. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I can take this because it has been a very exciting journey with the beta and introducing people and gathering, because that's the process we're in. You know, we want to hear what people have to say. We want to hear what they want. I think the beauty of the system is its flexibility. I think we have some of the most creative and amazing customers out there who can see it. They've all been in coffee so long, and you know, if you can think it, we can make it happen. We might have to be flexible in processes and things like that, but working together, we can really create solutions for things that never existed before. That's kind of the thing where we're not just reinventing the wheel. This is something very new and something special. So patience is definitely key in changing those things. Nobody likes to rock the boat of their production team and add new stressors. But I think what we've learned a lot from the people who have given it a try is that they are really excited about what's coming in the future, but also what's ready now.
Mm-hmm. So no broken hearts. That's amazing. I love it. Cassidy, you just solved the problem.
No, we often work quite closely with Cassidy together, and then obviously all the ideas and all the feedback coming back from customers, are then try to bring it to our team, where we have UX designers, researchers, and also developers. We try to involve them quite early. And the beauty of this is that we might think of a certain ask as such a big task that it's impossible to do. However, once we get our super minds on it from the team of developers, they often kind of can potentially not offer the full solution, but somehow something smaller, something easier, something that we can, like I said, develop quickly, release it quickly, and then measure its performance to see if we want to invest more time into it or make it better. So it's more of an iterative process rather than saying, no, we're never going to do it. We do it, okay, let's do a smaller version of it and try to improve upon it later.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So based off of the RICE score that you all worked with and the customer feedback, what are some of the new features that differentiates e-commerce from commerce, or commerce from e-commerce?
Yeah, so definitely the biggest one that everybody was asking about probably last year this time was the roasted inventory. So now it's there. We have special tabs for roasted inventory, loose, package, and blended inventory. So that's also automatically connected with your roasting intelligence. So the minute you roast something and complete that roast, the numbers are automatically updated on your roasted inventory side as well. The challenging thing is because there's so many different moving parts, the numbers change constantly. So whether you have order fulfillment or packaging plans that you're fulfilling, any changes will affect everything else. So that's why we had to make sure and spend some more time on it to make sure the calculations are correct and there's no issues, so we can fully rely on the numbers that you have in the system, that it's the correct stock numbers that you have. And I think maybe not a new feature, but a definitely improved one, which is the convert to schedule that we, again, fully revamped, fully looked at it and decided to kind of build from scratch again. So obviously this is allowing you to roast to orders, not over roasted or waste stock. You can precisely roast to whatever you need based on your orders. So again, we do calculations automatically for you. Whatever you had on hand, whatever you have packaged, you can allocate that to the order fulfillment. And then whatever you don't have, you can easily roast it with the roasting intelligence as well. And again, this is fully automated, and kind of the numbers are changed across all the system for you. So again, it's fairly smooth process. But again, there's many complicated calculations done in the background to ensure things are correct, because obviously you don't want to be short a bag or two when you finish roasting.
No, that would be awful. And with having to come up with all of those calculations, what does a day in the life of a product manager look like at Cropster? Just in case if people are wondering.
So I'm not sure if people think it's glamorous or not. I think it's more of how do you call it, a people communicator, or a central point of contact, I suppose, for many different departments, many different people. So I'm not coding at all. I don't know anything about coding. No, I do know something about coding, but I haven't touched it in a while. My job revolves around communication with the clients, our internal stakeholders, but also communicating on a daily basis with our development team and our UX and designers, just to make sure that whatever we're building is correctly translated, and whatever we expect from the developers is delivered as expected. Because there could be a very small miscommunication, which obviously then changes the whole meaning or the way it works, the feature. So majority of my day is spent on communication and talking to people, and then ensuring things are clear for everybody, not just for myself, because I can think I understand this and I know how it should look like, but then I have to make sure that the sales guys and our commercial team is aware what features will be released and when they'll be released, so they can inform the clients. But also I have to translate it to the developers as well, to make sure that what they're going to be working on, they understand the purpose, how it connects with other systems, and to ensure we call this at the edge cases, that if there is a case where something could happen, we also predict it and make sure this is also taken into consideration when we develop a feature.
And I would throw the question to you, Cassidy. What does it look like to be at inside sales at Cropster?
Lots and lots of demonstrations. People really want to see commerce, so I've been loving the enthusiasm for it and the excitement. So mainly my days are just filled with meeting coffee professionals, learning about their pain points, finding where we can help them, and it's been amazing. I can't believe some of the large coffee companies I've been able to speak to. These people that are out there doing some of the biggest things in the industry. So yeah, sometimes I'm just kind of starstruck. I'm like talking to these amazing roasters. But yeah, it's a lot of that and training myself. I feel like I know so much, but there's so much to learn about people's workflows, preferences, what's trending in the industry, what are people doing next year. And yeah, I just love to learn. I think the coffee industry is so open to that and is the same way, that everybody wants to learn so much. So I go in every day and try to learn something new. And yeah, use commerce a lot so that I can answer any question that anybody asks me about it.
That's so cool. I mean, I love your enthusiasm. I just, everything glows when you speak. Thank you for that. And how often do you two talk, Leo and Cassidy?
I probably bug Leo once a day. I like to check in, see what's new. Our product team is so awesome at giving us sales team information to use with our customers. But there's always more to learn. So for all of my customers who have seen me be the expert, I have my own expert behind the scenes with Leo. So yeah, once a day, not always once a day, but
yeah. Awesome. It's a pretty global setting. You're in Florida, Leo in Austria, then the developers are also here. I believe, right, in Austria.
Yeah, it's quite interesting sometimes, because I get a message from Cassidy when it's, I don't know, 8 or 9 p.m. on in my location. And by the time Cassidy wakes up, sometimes things are already fixed, because the next day we kick off with developers and look at the problem, release a quick fix. And yeah, so he reports a problem to us, and sometimes we can be very quick. But again, it really depends on the severity of the issue or what the resources we've got at the minute. But yeah, it's very much a collaborative effort.
I love it. And I mean, the time zone, as you say, it's not always it's not always very helpful, but it can be also used to the benefit of the company in this case and the benefit to our customers. Super cool. So what's happening next?
So we are going to be releasing the eCommerce product very soon. So we're finalizing our beta program. We got quite a lot of feedback from our first clients. So we're very excited to analyze it and put it into kind of a nice spreadsheet and figure out what's the next steps. However, we've gone through most of that process already, and we have a fairly robust plan for the next year, which mainly is going to be revolving around polishing things off, making things kind of smooth and making sure things are working the way they should be working, and gathering the feedback. Because again, once we release it to public on the 9th of January, we will have quite a lot of new clients or clients that are moving from old e-commerce to commerce. So there's going to be a lot of new things, I suppose, to learn, but also a lot of new feedback. So we left ourselves a little bit of a kind of breathing room in there, just to kind of so we can act fast on that feedback. So first quarter should be fairly admin-like, or a very quick reaction to the feedback and making sure we stay on top of things. So if something goes wrong, we can fix it quickly. But also our other team from the backend developers will be starting the research around API connections. So currently we connect with Shopify and WooCommerce shops, but we will be researching a new way of connecting to other shops, which will enable us perhaps to connect with many different shops on a moment's notice. So we try to figure out a robust way of creating those connections. So if a client is using a shop that we don't currently support, it shouldn't be a problem for us to add it fairly quickly. So the API connections with ShipStation and QuickBooks are next on our line. So again, QuickBooks is a little bit different because then we will be able to transfer the data from Cropster to QuickBooks, such as inventory data for roasted and green inventory. Whereas ShipStation, we will be able to source the orders from the ShipStation and display them in commerce the same way as we do with Shopify and commerce. So those are kind of the two big projects we'll be running alongside each other. And beyond that, there's quite a lot of other different features, but I'm not going to talk about them just yet.
No, of course, there's a lot more to come, and I know the plan is very enriched. So through that beta program you were in those last few months, that was a quite intense conversation with the customer. There was a lot of learning, I believe, and a lot of improvements. You said, well, a lot is on those spreadsheets. What's your personal learning from it? Is there anything you want to share? What did it do something with you? Did you learn something new? Was there something coming up you felt like, oh, I've never thought about that?
Yeah, I can speak a little to that as well. I learned that there's just a massive need for this in this industry, that so many people, we think that our problems are so unique, in which they can be, but at the end of the day, we all want the same solutions, and the solutions for traceability when it comes to quality control, when it comes to organic and mass balance, and all of the less fun things about coffee. People need to be able to do those efficiently, tracking inventory, of course, and everybody wants to enhance these processes. Everybody has, so many people have been in this game now for a long time, and it's time to make changes and create these efficiencies. They want to focus less on spreadsheets, more time on sourcing great coffee, roasting great coffee, brewing great coffee. So I feel like it's been just this great piece to connect the dots for people, to take your origin sample that's, not even in your country yet, to track it and watch it come into Cropster, to put your notes in it, to see your first roast, and then to sell that to the customer all the way to the bag at their door. Yeah, I think it's something that people just they want to see, and they want to have that comfort to let their customers always know that, hey, that was an amazing roast. It tastes good. I can look back and say, yep, my seal of approval's there, and they'll be happy.
It's very interesting how expectations have shifted in those probably 10 to maybe 15 years. I still remember when I saw the first time someone ordering an Uber, and that someone was Jeff Watts, and he was standing next to me on his new iPhone, and he said, "Norbert, I know when the car is coming." It's like, "What are you talking about, man?" But so, I was like, "Yeah, look right here." And I think that type of like traceability now is it's everywhere. I just recently ordered a pizza, and uh, and I didn't look. They told me that pizza would arrive in 40 minutes, so I just took that, did something else, and 22 minutes later, the door rang, and it's like, oh, what happens? I was so expecting it to be 40 minutes, and the guy just beat it by half almost. I was like, oh wow, I was surprised. In the day of age where you track everything, where you know everything, and of course I'm also annoyed when things are not arriving that day when they tell me, like today there should be, I don't know, the UPS should arrive, and then for whatever reason it doesn't. So a lot has changed in the expectation of people. And I think that seems to me that reflects also now into the roasting world, where we want to track everything, have that information at hand when we need it, and not be in the not know, or not spend a lot of time to find that. How do you feel about those things?
Yeah, yeah, I think, the expectation on e-commerce has changed so drastically, and I think that's where a lot of this kind of ties back in. It used to be things would ship and it would take a week to get to you. That's just the normal. And now, certain companies offering overnight shipping all the time, and the expectation, the competition is there. There's a lot to choose from in the specialty world, and not to say we're competing against each other, but we are creating, this message to people of, fresh roasted coffee delivered to your doorstep as soon as possible. It's a quality thing. It's a customer service thing. Yeah, it's been a very interesting change, especially as someone who worked on customer service and e-commerce during 2020, during COVID, when shipping in the United States was an absolute nightmare from green transit to roasted. It shook our world. We had to react and say, how do we make sure this doesn't happen anymore? How do we keep our customers happy, keep our businesses running efficiently? And yeah, you're having to make these bigger financial decisions that are so impactful, and it really all ties back to having control with your data and your technology.
Yeah, and I think Norbert, you also mentioned, that I think roasters want to spend more time roasting and actually running the business than filling out spreadsheets, and we understand that need for it, and the way our product is structured and the way it's going to progress, we will be heavily relying on automation of those steps. So my kind of goal, personal goal, is to ensure you spend as little time as possible within commerce, that things are done for you and calculated for you. Things are sent over to packaging team, for example, or to roasting team, so you can just have you start your day and you kind of put your schedule out, and things will be sent to everybody, and you can just kind of carry on with looking after your business and making sure your customers are happy. So again, it's kind of counterintuitive. Obviously we want high engagement on our product, but the product is designed in a way to cut that down and make sure you have time for other things that are more important to you.
Yeah, that's lovely. And see that the way I don't have to work with some of our spreadsheets anymore, we can have lovely conversations. And I enjoy that way more than entering data into a spreadsheet or something. So, yeah. Very, very cool.
Having facilitated the beta program, Cassidy, what did you hear most from users? Like, what feature were they most excited about?
Yeah, I think we had people already pretty excited about web shops with the last e-commerce connection. So the one here was the roasted inventory. I think, to show people everything you run through Roasting Intelligence, and to do my pretend roast here on my system and kick out inventory, it just got people's creative juices flowing. It helped them think of like, wow, this is so great. This is that next chain in this link that I need for traceability and quality control. And so, yeah, I think it's honestly, I'm getting like too hyped about it, but it is magical to see, we have all this calculated green loss data. You're trying to better understand your losses and everything. And so, for someone who's been doing this on pen and paper and making a Frankenstein of machines to get this information, it's so nice to see it all in one place, to kick out, to see all your hard work just pop up. And yeah, and then it's up to you what you want to do with it. Do you want to bag it and put it on your shelf? Do you want to send it out and have it manufactured to instant coffee? We can track it along the entire way. So just playing connect the dots with everybody, it's been exciting. I always challenge people to ask me, think of something out there in your systems that you have no way of tracking right now, and how can we help you with that? And I think, that puzzle has been fun to explore with our customers.
And I can attest to Cassidy's puzzle abilities, puzzle solving abilities. We essentially had a meeting like that yesterday of like, all right, let's throw out some examples of what people do and let's try to work backwards and forwards and find a solution for them. So I know you're very dedicated to that point and very talented at it.
Yeah. It's like I said, the learning process has been great. I feel like the teaching process has been great. If you can teach somebody something, you're gonna learn more from it. So I've got a good crew around me.
Definitely.
That one last person out there listening to our podcast and thinking e-commerce, commerce, all that is very complicated, complex. I've come so far, do not engage in that. Why should I now? And how could you potentially help them to overcome their reservations or an unsureness about the whole thing?
Yeah. There is a big piece of, fear and change, to go in and change your normal operations, what you're used to, the systems that a lot of people built from the ground up. There's not really a book out there that says, hey, here's how you should manage all of your coffee roasting workflows. So yeah, it's very interesting to help kind of tie all that together for people.
So basically what I hear is you tell them, call me, call Cassidy, and discuss their situation.
Yeah, exactly. On top of everything, I'm a Shopify expert. I've been in it forever. I like to tell people, you might not have questions about commerce, but if you have questions about your e-commerce store, about your subscriptions, you want to talk digital marketing, let's do it. Let's share information. Let's learn a little together. I feel like I've seen it all, and I definitely haven't. I see people with new situations all the time. So, I think there's so much information to be shared. I think that's one of the best things about working at Cropster with all these amazing tech and coffee experts, is that we have this vast knowledge bank of coffee roasters, of product developers, of people that are just unique, that you don't typically get in a room together. So yeah, I always say, like, don't be afraid to ask anything. If you need help with an organic audit, I bet I could find someone to help.
Mm-hmm. Leo, what's your promise?
Kind of similar to Cassidy, I think it's more be towards new customers or existing customers. If there is anywhere you're working, or something stops you from progressing, or you think there could be a little tiny improvement that could make your life so much better, send it over to us. We'll assess it. We'll look into it. We see how many other people have the same problem, and based on that, we kind of devise next step plans. And again, it could be a quick fix. It could be something we implement next year. I cannot guarantee that. But all feedback is good feedback for us, because again, the more feedback we get, the more same features we get, the likeliness of it being developed quicker goes quite high. So again, don't be stuck trying to figure out how the commerce works, or you, for example, you doing a certain action that requires 10 clicks. If we can reduce it to 5 clicks, amazing, let us know, and then we can potentially streamline it for you. But again, we're going to be looking at the data that we're getting from our clients, how they're using the tool, where they're getting stuck, how much they rose, and how they progress through the whole flow. And we'll be doing tiny tweaks here and there, so you might notice some changes here and there. But again, don't be afraid of change, because hopefully it's going to be better.
Yeah, lovely. And I think what's so important with change is hard always. We know that personal change, change in the company doesn't matter. But having people on the side who are passionate about helping, who are available, who are reachable, I think makes a big difference. I rely on my friends, I rely on my family, and in this case, I think the coffee family can rely on us, on Cropster, and on you, Cass, and you, Leo, to be on their sides. And I think that makes hopefully the difference. And I think that was the reason why we started this company in the first place, to help everybody get better, to help everybody be more connected. And what you said, Cassidy, earlier, in like tracing from farm to end consumer is kind of the cornerstone of making the farmer shine, making them visible. And that was really one of the first things we wanted to do: help farmers get the word out and get the quality managed, so that whatever they created with their hard work is not lost in any of the steps in between. And keeping that richness, that quality, that amazingness of coffee, and also, of course, that financial value, which is inherently part of the whole equation.
Before we close out today, this is a surprise question, everyone. Surprise, guys. Since this is a behind the scenes episode, what is one thing that you think would surprise people about working at Cropster? Oh, I'll have to give them a few minutes to think. Oh.
Surprise people.
Maybe the fact that we don't drink coffee.
Oh, that's an ink thing. Don't tell people.
I surprise people all the time to say how global we are. We have people all over the world. We work with people all over the world. I had a demo with it was my last night, and there this morning with people in Australia, which is always fun. And I definitely didn't notice that when I was a Cropster user. I just knew they were in Austria, and I figured they mainly operated in the US. But meeting people from Mexico and Malaysia and Saudi Arabia and just all over the world, it's been crazy, and it definitely has it's been a fun adjustment for me.
Yeah, kind of similar to that as well. I think the people I spoke to, quite a lot of them are surprised that Cropster is actually based in Austria. Usually, the big companies, the big tech companies, are all out of US, maybe Germany, but you rarely hear about our little country, Austria, doing something great. So I'm quite proud of that we still deliver amazing product with such a great talent from Austria. But again, like Cassidy mentioned, we are all over the place. So yeah, whenever you need us, you can reach us out whenever you want.
Yeah, and I think along with that, I'm always surprised at what a huge impact Cropster has on the coffee community, but what a small size team we have. I think we're around the 100 mark now, but just to think of all the companies around the world we've touched, I think it's quite a huge impact.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, if people want to chat with you, Cassidy, about commerce, digital marketing, their lives, how would they reach out to you?
Yeah, you can get together for a cup of coffee virtually. Or if you're in Florida, Tampa, I'm here. You can go to cropster.com/cropster-commerce. Fill out our form and it goes right to me, and I'll be in touch.
Well, no, thank you. Really, this was a very, very interesting conversation. It's not always. I mean, most of the recordings we do with external guests, but I'm really, really proud of this conversation, of how it feels about what we do, and having you two on this podcast was something very special for me. So I appreciate it. Thank you for all your enthusiasm. Thank you for all your power. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, as well. I
Yeah,
appreciate that
thank
we
you.
had a chance to kind of give also the developer world a voice a little bit, because obviously our customers talk to our sales team and our customer support team and things like that, but usually the developer world is kind of closed off and nobody hears about them. So I just want to thank them as well for the amazing work they've been doing over the past year. And the product they've created, I'm very proud of, and there's been a lot of meetings and conversations and drawings and flows floating about, designs, prototypes. So a big thank you to them to be able to have this conversation, because without them we wouldn't have it.
Very true. Thank you, Leo, for bringing that in. That is absolute true.